You're welcome to step one of the board transformation course. In this course, in this module, you're going to understand your role and that of your board. One of the greatest misconceptions we've seen in the nonprofit space is founders not understanding their role and that of their board. And if you get this one thing right, you can transform your board and transform your organization. Because in the nonprofit world, everything rises and falls on leadership. And if you engage your leadership the right way, you can maximize their potential and create far more results than you can ever do alone as a founder. So let's talk about one of the biggest challenge most founders face, the founder's paradox. As we go in, we're going to talk about the misconception of board members, and we're going to bridge that together so that you can understand your role and that of your board. Now, the founder's paradox, or what we call the founder's syndrome. This is the very beginning of the challenge for most boards. Most founders think they own the organization. And because of that, you find the founders doing everything all by themselves. You find the founders micromanaging the organization, micromanaging people, and even trying to, build a sort of a system that favors themselves. Sometimes trying to bring in family and friends into the board, even when these people do not have the capacity to be able to lead the organization. It is important that founders learn to let go of control and work with the board as a team to build the organization. Because in truth, no one owns the organization. Both the founder and the board are trustees. And when we say trustees, it means you hold the organization in trust for the community you serve and for the government. So this means you must be open to working with people. You must be open to allowing the organization grow beyond you. This is the only way you can achieve the vision and the mission for your organization. Now, let's talk about the general board. As a board, like I said, you're all trustees. And that means you're bounded by the duty of care. You must act with prudence, stay informed, and actively participate in growing and building the organization. It means you must act duty of loyalty. You must prioritize the organization's interests above yours. And also, you must follow the duty of obedience, which is staying true to the mission, ensuring all applicable laws are obeyed. Now, these three laws, these three duties actually lay the foundation for a successful board engagement. A board that understands that they have the duty of care will step up and do everything possible to ensure that the organization grows, including supporting the fundraising initiative of the organization, because it is the responsibility of the board to ensure the organization is properly funded. A board that's bounded by the duty of loyalty will always put the interest of the organization first above theirs, which means they are willing to hold themselves accountable. They are willing to step up when called on to give their best to the organization, and they will. A board that understands the duty of obedience will stay true to the mission at all times, not running off trying to follow the next funding, whether it does not comply with the mission or not, but staying true to the mission because that's the heart and the very foundation of the organization. So you understanding this and your board also understanding this core concept can transform the way you work. And it is your responsibility as a founder to be able to educate your board members so that they understand these core responsibilities. And out of these three core duties flow what we call the six fundamental roles of the board. Let's go right into it. The very first fundamental role is that of a facilitator. The next is that of an architect. The next is that of a mobilizer. The next is that of an evaluator. The next is that of a reporter. And lastly, that of an entrepreneur. These are the six core roles of the board and the founder included. So it means you all are co-facilitators, co-architects, co-mobilizers, co-evaluators, co-reporters, and co-entrepreneurs. And once you understand these six core fundamental roles, you will begin to approach your board leadership on a different level, the level that is needed to maximize the potential of each board member and create a team effect that can create that ripple effect of transformation that you seek for the very community you serve. And when we go into talking about each of these roles, you're going to understand how each of these roles connects to yourself, then leads to the board and also to the community you serve. Now, your role as a facilitator. First, your role, your board's role as co facilitators. It is not your duty to design the solutions that you execute for the community. And this is one area most founders and most nonprofits get wrong. You stay in isolation, drawing up smart plans, business plans, drawing up solutions, thinking this is the best for the community. And at the end of the day, you force that plan on your board adopts the plan, and then the board forces that plan on the community. And this is the reason why you see that most organizations do not have the community backing they need to succeed. Why? Because people only commit to plans that they were a part of creating. In community development, we say people who plan together execute together. So your board's role as a co-facilitator is to be able to facilitate those conversations within the community to identify the solution the community can bound around. Your role as a founder is to be able to facilitate that communication within your board, to be able to identify the best solutions from the solutions you all have identified within the community that the organization can work on to create the solution you seek for your organization. It is this ripple effect that gets you the backing you need, not from just from your board, but also from the community to be able to create the very solutions you want to for the community. This is the core reason why most boards are passive and disengaged because they were never a part of creating the plan the organization is executing on. It means they don't even have a voice in the very organization they are a part of leading. So if you want to be able to correct this, your job is to work with the community to get those solutions. Your job is then to work with your board to be able to filter through those solutions and pick the best solution. That way, your board members are going to have what we call the sense of ownership, the sense of joint purpose that is needed for them to work with you wholeheartedly to achieve the vision and the mission of your organization. So, your first step today, your next board meeting, instead of putting forward statements, instead of putting forward instructions, start facilitating conversations. Start asking questions. What can we do better? How can we execute this part of the conversation, the organization? By having this level of conversations, your board members begin to feel that sense of leadership. They begin to feel that sense of co-facilitators and they will begin to open up more. And I'll tell you this, you'll be surprised the kind of ideas some of your board members have when you start to listen to them. Your second role is that of a co-architect. Now you all have gone into the community to identify the best solution for the organization can work on. As a board, you all have filtered through those solutions and then picked the best solution you think you all can work on. The next step is to be able to structure that solution into an actionable plan that can be executed across the community. And this is where your role as an architect comes in. It's just like when a person want to build a house, they call an architect and then they share their ideas to the architect and then the architect take those ideas and then go on to design a beautiful home that matches the ideas of the owners. In this illustration, the person who wants to build a house is the community because these are the people who owns the very solution. If they do not own it, they will not back it. They are the ones who the shoe pinches, so they know what's best for them. So when they give you the solution, your board being the architect, the role of your board is then to design actionable process to be able to execute that solution for the community. Your role is to be able to guide your board to design those actionable solutions that will be executed within the community. And this is basically what we call strategic planning. And this is one of the reasons I put it forward to most founders I work with. You must plan with your board members because this fulfills their role as co-architects. They have to draw up that plan with you. So as your board collects the ideas of the community and draw up that plan, your job is also to collect the ideas of your board members and draw up a plan that's actionable that the board can be able to adopt and say, yes, this is something we all can commit to. The next role is that of a mobilizer. As I would always say, it is not your role and that of your board to do the work. It is your role and that of your board to create the roadmap, which you've done as an architect, and build a team that does the job. And this is where most founders lose their board members. You expect your board members to help you with social media. You expect your board members to help you write grants. You expect your board members to go out there, start asking for people. Some even go as far as giving board members fundraising targets. This is where most founders lose their board. If you want to build a successful organization, you must understand that one of the role of your board is that of co-mobilizers, which means you have to go out into the community to mobilize the community to band around the very solution that they put forward. You have to mobilize the people needed to execute those solutions. You have to mobilize the resources, the funding needed to execute those solutions. And that is what the job of a mobilizer is all about. Think about it. Have you ever gone to a building site and then you find an architect on ground trying to mix cement and lay blocks? No. Because when they start doing that, they are going to lose sight of the big vision, which is keeping the building in alignment. So your job is not to go out there to start doing the work. Your job is to bring the team together that does the job, give them the roadmap, and ensure that they follow the roadmap, which is where the evaluator role comes in. So today, or this week, or this month, delegate one strategic task to a board member. Empower them to use their unique skills and connection for organizational benefit. Guide your board members to be able to identify people across the community, across their network that can be able to support the cause of the organization. That is how you get them to become joint or co-mobilizers just like yourself. The next task we talk about is the evaluator, which is where you as an architect is trying to keep the building according to plan. You're evaluating every aspect of the work to ensure that the goals that have been set forth have been achieved. You're evaluating every aspect of the work to ensure that the people are acting right and following the mission just as it's been laid out. That's what being co-evaluators is all about. And aside the board evaluating the community to see that the solutions are being executed and that they are having impact within the community, your job is also to evaluate your board, as it's also your board's responsibility to evaluate you. Because whatever is not being measured cannot be improved. So by evaluating your board can be able to see areas for improvement and then begin to make necessary correction. And by also evaluating you, you can be able to see areas of improvement and start course correcting. This is how you grow, and this is how you grow an organization alongside. Because the truth is this, you're not just supposed to build the organization is also supposed to build you and your board members. So today, or before your next meeting, ask yourself, are we going according to plan? Are we achieving our goals and milestones? Also, get your board members to think through this because you must be able to evaluate your result at all times. The next is that of co-reporters. Now you've evaluated the community, you've evaluated the job to see that you're actually according to plan. You must report that. In short, this is one of the best ways to get support and attention across the community and the general public. You must report the progress of your project. You must report the setbacks. You must report the limitations. Because by reporting this, people begin to understand what's happening and then begin to provide you the support you need. And this is why I always admonish every organization I work with to have a solid PR team in place that works with them, a public relations team. This team can consistently take in those information and then put them out as press releases, social media releases, informing the public consistently of what's happening, areas the organization needs support. This is a more strategic way to raise money than many of the fundraising appeals most organizations write. So, this week, this month, share your organizational successes, your limitations, your setbacks. Ask for support if you should, because there's no crime to asking for support. And of course, by reporting consistently, this is going to create the level of transparency people want to see, funders want to see. And this is what will get you funded successfully. Lastly, your role as co-entrepreneurs. Now, initially, I didn't bring in this, but when I saw the limitation within the nonprofit space where founders no longer think like entrepreneurs, I knew this was very important because of the truth. The board needs to be a board of co-entrepreneurs. The founder needs to be an entrepreneur. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? To be able to scale solutions, to be able to find solutions that's scalable, to be able to create more with lesser resources. When you're able to do this, when you're able to innovate, when you're able to scale, you are not just an ordinary organization anymore. You are an organization for global transformation. And that's the reason why we're all here, to make the world a better place. Not just your community, the world. For you to be able to do so, you must become entrepreneurs. You must have the eyes and the minds of entrepreneurs, the ability to see solutions, the ability to innovate, the ability to scale solutions, the ability to create great results with little resources. And when you're able to do so, you've become what we call the social entrepreneur, the people of a very rare class who the world will always look up to. And that is an opportunity for you and also for your board. So ask yourself during your next meeting, how can we innovatively transform this work that we do? How can we scale this approach to millions and billions of people? How can we serve the world? When you begin to answer these questions, you begin to see the change and the difference in your organization. So now we've talked about what you are. It's very important that we establish what you're not. As the founder, like I said, you're not the owner of the organization. This is a great misconception that will keep you small. You are a trustee. You hold the organization in trust for the community. This, by understanding this, you will not micromanage the organization. You will not try to build the organization around your personality. You will not think about how the organization is going to be inherited by your kids. You will give the best to the organization and ensure only the best people run the organization so that the mission and the vision of the organization can be accomplished. As trustees, you are bounded by the duty of care, the duty of loyalty, the duty of obedience. You must also be able to educate your board members so that they understand this role. Also, your board members are not your volunteers, nor are they your employees. Your board members are not the people to do the work. They are not the people to manage your social media. They are not the people to send out your emails. They are not the people you give fundraising targets to. They are your co-evaluators, co-facilitators, co-architects, co-mobilizers, co-entrepreneurs. Their job is governance, leadership, and oversight, and not operational tasks. When you understand this and you help your board also understand this core concept, you will transform the work that you do. You will transform your organization and you will be able to empower the world with the team of people you have, regardless of their quality. So, lastly, I say to you again, it is not your job, not the job of your board to do the work. It is your role and that of your board to create the roadmap and build the team that does the job. As Max Dupree said, the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. And in between, the leader is the servant. You are a servant of your board. Your board is a servant of the community. It is this chain of service and servitude that creates the very transformation we want to see in the world. I'll see you in the next step where we talk about reactivating your present board. Let's head on to step 2.